A very good evening to you and welcome to Big Talk here on Global Television. My name is Godwin Sunday. Well, you can join the conversation right now on our various social media handle currently showing on your screen using at Global TV NG. And you can download the Global TV Nigerian mobile app for Android and iOS devices to keep track of our broadcasts. Now let's delve into the Big Talk for today. Now, local government election is just around the corner for most states, including Lagos State. We'll be talking about the various reforms that have happened in the local government in Nigeria and then try to marry that up with what's going on in Lagos State. How far have we come in terms of our local government practices and elections in Nigeria? Well, I'm not doing this alone this evening. I have a guest live here with me in the studio. I have the person of David Itopa, who is a political analyst and also a member of the People's Democratic Party. I'll be talking about the reforms in the local government elections in Nigeria so far. But first, you're welcome to Big Talk.
Thank you, Mr. Godwin, and of course, thank you, Nigerians. It's a pleasure to be here on Global TV, especially on Big Talk.
All right, so David, let's delve into the conversation. First, looking at the local government elections in Nigeria. For many, they say that local government election in Nigeria is a child's play. But it has been characterized to a very large extent by a one-party system. But although one party, but it has been free, fair, and it has been perceived to be free, fair, and credible. But in your own assessment, what will you say about the local government elections in Nigeria as it stands right now? Has it been free? Has it been fair? Has it been credible? And is it also a carbon copy of Nigeria as a one-party, been positioned as a one-party state? What's your take generally?
Yeah, once again, thank you for having me on your show this evening. I would like to start from the last take, which you said, if I'm not mistaken, that many have adjudged the local government elections in Nigeria to be free, fair, and credible. And what is the definition of free, fair, and credible election, if I may ask? Of course, many would like to say, let me just bring it down to the layman's level. It is such that there are participants in that election, and then people are allowed to vote, and people are allowed to, vote for their candidate of choice. But a situation where the election is largely, just like you have said, I want to quote you, but of course, majority of Nigerians have also said that the local government elections are usually just a one-party system kind of thing. I do not think that should be mentioned in the same conversation as free, fair, and credible. Because what is free, fair, and credible when mostly, or to a large extent, other parties have not been allowed to participate in local government elections? And such elections cannot be said to be free, fair, and credible. Unless, of course, we have other definitions for free, fair, and credible. And if you look at the concept of local government elections in Nigeria, and I dare say, and I challenge anybody to challenge me on what I'm about to say, that local government elections, are just a mere charade in Nigeria. Apart from, say, a few years ago, I think it has to be in Kaduna State, if my memory serves me well, where opposition parties under the then Governor El-Rufai, opposition parties, my party, PDP, actually won some seats in the council elections. Other than that, it has always been a one-way thing, be it PDP, be it APC, be it any other party. So it's more like a willing tool. It's more like a willing tool for the governors of the day, or rather, the political party in power. So it's just the local government elections are just, is available tools for them to dispense or rather play politics with. So that is how local government elections are in Nigeria. To a very large extent. To a very, very large extent.
Well, interesting. But looking at all of this, one would say, or one would put the position of local government elections and the general local government practices to be due to the fact that there are no local government election education when it has to do with educating the people at the grassroots in terms of what to do in elections. That's why people don't come out for election, and this is why we have a near one-party system. But in your own analysis, what will you attribute all of this charade, like you've called it, of local government election? What will you attribute it to as a factor that has necessitated us to get to this point?
The truth is that, just like I said in my earlier submission, that local government elections have become sort of, an event or a charade for politicians or governors to play politics with, not necessarily, what the local government council elections stand for, to be the closest to the grassroots, the closest form of governance to people at the lowest ebb of political chain. One of the things we must note is that Nigerians, to a large extent, and I'm sorry to say this, I think we are gradually getting there. Nigerians, to a large extent, have no hope or no trust or no confidence, per se, in the local government electoral practices. So and that is why you see that people are disenchanted and people don't really want to involve or engage themselves in something they already know the outcome. I mean, it is like participating in a football match where you already know the outcome. So that is one of the reasons. So people have lost trust in the process completely.
So you're saying that INEC does not guarantee...
I'm saying this, Godwin, I'm coming. To a large extent, if we are not careful, if you look at the data, the electoral data, if you look at the results, and then the people that have come out to vote since 2011, you would agree with me, Nigerians will agree with me that there's been a sharp decline. So what am I saying? Generally, there's been some of voter apathy in electoral processes. I'm talking about the national elections. But now, take it back to the local government council elections. It is even worse there. Because everybody already knows the outcome of the election. So why should I even go and waste my time there? So people have lost hope in the electoral system. And then secondly, for local government electoral elections to bear some certain level of, how will I put it now? A certain level of credibility, thank you. I think INEC must take over electoral electoral processes at the grassroots level, at the local government council level. Because if you allow the SIEC, State Independent Electoral, they call it state independent, but it is not independent because the governors actually put in people there. So there is nothing independent about the SIECs. The governors are the ones that will appoint somebody there, and then there is always this pretense, this fox hope that, okay, they are independent. They are not. So it takes us back to the first point I raised. Nigerians at the grassroots level are completely, at variance with whatever is happening there. They've lost hope completely. There's no credibility, there's no trust or whatsoever in the process.
But could this be a factor why the local government election is in charade from time immemorial? 1966 till date, we've come of age. But it tends to be, what we see is like a situation where there is no change happening in the local government. We've said that most Nigerians have this mindset that the local government election is a total charade. And a lot of people have lost interest in even coming out to cast their vote. I recall during one of the local government elections, we see people playing footballs on the street as against casting their vote. In such a situation where people are disenfranchise themselves from coming out to even cast civic responsibility, like challenging the status quo of what they have and ensuring that they guarantee that their votes count. In all of this, should we blame the government for all of this charade by the citizens not taking full responsibility for the local government elections?
Godwin, the truth is that I want you to withdraw something you just said now, that the people are the ones disenfranchising themselves. No. Technically, the government of the day, or those in charge of overseeing the local government electoral processes, are the ones disenfranchising the people. Because just like we said, you already know the outcome. Whether or not you go and cast your vote, it is just a waste of time. So why not play ball with your loved ones on the streets of your local, in an empty space, probably opposite where the polling unit. So it takes us back to how the question of how do we curb these things. And I want to say something. And I want Nigerians to look at this. That it seems like from time immemorial, just like you said, there is no change. And then I also want to tell you that since time immemorial, since even from the Second Republic or Third Republic or even the inception of the Fourth Republic, it seems like with every electoral cycle, things are getting worse. There seems to be a pattern. So it is more like it was even better then compared to what we have now. So there needs to be a reorientation, a deliberate and intentional reorientation by the government to our people that, look, we can salvage this process. And how do we salvage this process? It is when elections are seen to be credible. It is when governors of various, I am not calling a particular party now. We are speaking as Nigerians.
We'll get to that point.
No, we'll get to that point.
We'll begin to call the parties.
For now,
yeah.
I am not calling a specific party now. I am speaking as a patriotic Nigerian. It cut across board. So until the governors will allow a level playing field, say, okay, you in party XYZ, party ABC, you are free to come and contest election. Most times they will tell you, oh, you can contest election. Party XYZ can contest against ABC that is in power. When you that day when you get to the polling unit, I am telling you that you will not even see electoral materials. These are not hearsay. It's something we've been part of. We've been part of the processes. We've seen a situation, I think it was in Osun some times ago, where a governor, during local government elections, a governor printed one, what is it called? The state printed, the state electoral commission printed just one electoral ballot paper. And inside it was yes or no. There was no provision for party B, party C, party D. It was just party A, yes or no. So these are the kind of charades we are talking about. So until the governors, who are the overseers of these things, well, as far as I'm concerned, the overseers of these things, until they allow the level playing field, where party A will be ably represented, party B will be ably represented, and the process is seen to be free, fair, and all-inclusive, that is the beginning. That is where we'll begin to have a sharp turnaround. People like, oh, my party can actually participate in council elections. And you see people will begin to mobilize, each party members will begin to mobilize their people. Like I said again, there is a dangerous trend. And if we are not careful, Nigeria, even at the national level, we are getting to that, local grassroots election, local government council elections, where people will be voting on a national election day and some other persons will be partying or playing football close to a polling unit. So there have to be a conscious effort, a deliberate effort to curb this situation and reorientate the people, sensitize the people on the need for participation. But then again, it is not just about, it's a two-sided thing. It's not just about the people or the electorate. It's also about our leaders, the people who are overseeing these things. Just like there are several examples are there, several states.
Interesting conversation. Let's move away from the people and bring this back to the political party and the actors who are involved in all of this. We said that in the Fourth Republic, that the People's Democratic Party have been in charge of Nigeria for a good number of years.
Are we still going back to this blame game?
We're not going back to the blame game. We're trying to trace back where all of this started from.
We have been dwelling on this blame game for almost 16 years now. And where have that taken us?
We're not on the blame game. We're trying to trace back where all of these local government errors might have started from. In your own analysis, you've said that politicians have bastardized the system. But we had the First Republic, we moved to Second Republic, we moved to Third Republic, and right now we are in the Fourth Republic. If you look at the Fourth Republic, people will say that PDP has been in office for the larger part of the Fourth Republic. But in your own assessment, if you want to attribute some of this, where we are right now and where we are coming from, the backwardness that has affected local governments, can we attribute this to the People's Democratic Party?
Like I said earlier, I do not want to pin down this problem of local government elections to any particular party.
Or is an inherent, perhaps I should ask if it's an inherent.
Yes, I think
it's an inherited deficiency.
Yes, it is an inherited deficiency. I think I want to agree with you. And that is why I was careful enough to say, look, it is not about political party. It cuts across board. Because, we have been on this blame game. And then again, it is not true that PDP has been in power for the larger part of the Fourth Republic, except for some reason you think there's no election today because, of course, the life cycle of this election, of this current administration is going to terminate in 2027. So that would have made it how many years?
It's 12 years. Buhari 8 years. Tinubu done 4 years.
Okay, Buhari.
We can't say Tinubu will emerge as winner for come.
No, that's not possible.
So
He's
we
not
can't
going
say.
to. He can't even.
No,
he knows.
We can't
he
say.
knows,
We can't say on this table.
Yeah, I know.
We
We can't say.
Independent Electoral Commission.
Okay, yes, exactly.
Say, yeah.
Exactly. But even to the man himself, the man in the villa knows that there is no way he's going to win 2027 election.
Well, let's leave the Independent
So let's leave that out of
Commission
it. So now, we have always been on this blame game. That, PDP were in power for 16 years, PDP were this, PDP did not do this. And at the end of the day, we've forgotten that most of the people that constitute the APC now ran away from the PDP. When they couldn't get what they wanted, they went to the APC. So, if you are saying PDP did something wrong, like I always say, PDP, who is PDP? PDP is just a name. It's just a nomenclature. There are people, living things, that constitutes what PDP is, including the buildings, including the secretariats, including the constitution. These are the entities that makes up what PDP is. So, if people who left PDP, of course they were PDP, and went to the APC and start telling you, PDP did this, PDP did not do this, why did you not effect that change you so badly wanted to see in Nigeria while you are in this new party? So it's a question of character. It's a question of interest. So largely, it has nothing to do with nomenclature. It is about the selfishness of mortal human beings.
So I asked that particular question in order to ask you, to find out from you if this is an inherent wickedness by politicians in order to frustrate a local government councils in Nigeria.
You know politicians, yeah? Politicians do not do things by happenstance. No. I will tell you the reason why the governors of every state seek so badly to dominate or capture the local government elections. It has nothing to do with governance, good governance. It is all about the next election cycle. Because the local government chairmen are willing tools to the governors. And it is through these local government chairmen who they have appointed, that is not an election as far as I'm concerned, whom they have appointed to oversee each local government, say local government A, local government B, that would help them to deliver the votes at the grassroots. Nothing more, nothing less. So it is all about selfish interest. It's about the next.
So it's a transactional government.
It's a transactional thing.
Okay.
It is about the next election cycle. It is not really about, aiming to take governance to the grassroots. Because as far as we are concerned, if you look at the tiers
of government, the local government is the nearest to the grassroots. So it's not really about that. It's about the next election cycle.
All right, let's bring the conversation back home again and try to look at the various elections. Lagos State election is just around the corner. We saw what happened in Osun State, where a lot of political parties started backing out of the election, and this has become like a recurring phenomenon and a common decimal factor in Nigerian body politics, where political parties back out of local government election just at the tail end of the election. In your own judgment, what do you think about backing out of local government election? Is it that parties don't trust the system and that's why they are pulling out, or they are not ready to fight for the people at the grassroots, and that's why they are pulling out? Or in the long run, these political parties are not just interested in contesting because they already can predict the output of the election?
I can tell you for free, Godwin, and of course Nigerians, that it is a time-wasting venture. Haven't been very close to party administration, party politics, and then also partaking in local government electoral processes. I can tell you for free that is a wasted venture. And that is why you see most times at the eve of election, at the 11th hour of the local council elections, parties will pull out. Let me just give a simple analogy. you are going to the market to buy mango. And then on your way, you were made aware that, look, the mangoes you are looking for are not available in the market. Tell me, are you going to continue with your journey or you return back home? It's simple. You return back home. So this is just a simple analogy. It's a complete waste of time. And then again, we must begin to give credit to, because I forget the fact that, I am a PDP member, and then one is another party member. Wherever we see the truth, we must begin to give, credit and, give commendations where necessary. I must also give commendations to Malam Nasir El-Rufai, the former governor of Kaduna State. Under his watch, you can criticize him for all whatever you want to criticize him for, but at least it will be on record that in the history of Nigeria, as far as democracy is concerned and the conduct of local government elections are concerned, under El-Rufai's government as a governor, PDP, an opposition party, even at the federal level and at the state level, won council elections. It's not a hidden thing, it's there. So we must begin to commend him. Now, if our leaders understand that opposition is very, very necessary and is key to promoting good governance, I think everybody should adopt the El-Rufai system and allow for some level of participation from opposition parties. Because the man was not scared of losing the election, because he knows the work he has put in, he had to allow a free and fair election and an all-inclusive election, local council election. Other parties participated. Other political parties participated in that election. And PDP won. A very good number of the local governments were in the control of opposition parties in Kaduna State as it were. But how many states can you even beat your chest to say, even the local government autonomy, the July 2024 Supreme Court judgment that have allowed for local government autonomy, how many states, as I speak to you, from the records on ground, it seems like about over 2 trillion naira or thereabout of local government monies were still routed through the state government coffers.
Yeah, I've gone out to cry out. They've come to cry out foul.
So you can now connect the dots. And I said earlier, it is not necessarily about good governance. It is transactional. It is about the next election cycle. So if the Supreme Court, which is the highest judiciary body in the country, has stated that, look, local government should be allowed to handle their affairs, just like it were in Section 7 of the Nigerian Constitution, as amended, 99 as amended, even in the 4th schedule. But our governors, like I said, it is not about political party now. We have to be clear on this thing. It's not about political party. Our governors will still find a way to bypass these things and meander their way through all these things. They will still find a loophole, because for them, it is not about the people.
But David, it's as if when it comes to governorship election, all parties will be fully out. When it has to do with the presidential election at the federal level, all parties will stick their neck out. But when it has to do with elections at the local government level, we see parties drag their feet on the ground as if they don't want to participate. Like what is playing out in Lagos State. Lagos State right now is as if it's only the All Progressive Congress. Of course, the members of the All Progressive Congress from mainland and Yaba have come out to lament their dissatisfaction with the system. But then Labour Party just set up a national working committee and also a state working committee in Lagos State to look into the local government election and be able to give them candidates across the various LCDAs in Lagos, 37 LCDAs and 20 local governments in Lagos State. And same thing, we've not heard PDP even talking about primaries when it has to do, but when it was time for governorship election, we saw all of these parties come out to campaign, come out to throw support here and there. This sudden loss of interest by political parties, even in Lagos State, as for using Lagos as a case study right now. Can we say again that these political parties are not interested in the growth and development of the people, are not interested in fighting for the people that they once went to sell out their manifesto to in order to champion the cause of leadership in this environment? All these local governments are just interested basically in the federal and the state government election and disinterested in local government elections?
Thank you for that question. Again, let me tell you where this whole disenchantment started from. From 2007, the election that produced probably and arguably one of the best presidents Nigeria has ever had, I'm talking about Umaru Musa Yar'Adua of blessed memory, where he himself admitted that the elections that brought him into power was flawed.
Irregularities.
With irregularities, thank you. And then he set up panels to look into it, and then reforms were carried out. I mean, Nigerians were aware of the reforms that were carried out. And then fast forward to Jonathan. Even Jonathan himself made some reforms. Yeah, I mean, it was Jonathan that brought about the quasi-tech electoral processes. I'm talking about the introduction of the BVAS, voters card, and what have you. Even at that, there were still loopholes and shortcomings. But the reason why you see politicians still have hope, a lot of hope, or a lot of confidence in that federal election, just like you said, is because elections are carried out probably simultaneously, let's say 31 or 32 states simultaneously. So, of course, politicians, desperados, people who are desperate for power will always look for a way to manipulate the system and take advantage of the loopholes. But then, it is always going to be difficult because we are talking about 32 states, almost like the entire federation, simultaneously. So, mobilizing resources to rig elections is always going to be difficult. And then people who know what they are doing, who know their onions, politicians who know their onions, will be able to quickly strategize and block some of these loopholes. But when it comes to local government election, it is just one man that is overseeing state A or state B. It is easier for him to manipulate from the comfort of his home.
But
that is why you see
banners and posters flying
around. Nobody will do that because they know. Let me tell you something. Go and write this thing down. Let Nigerians write this down. Even the Labour Party, you are saying they have set up a state working committee or caretaker committee to look into the elections. My brother, those are
political academic exercise. Nothing is going to come out of it. I am speaking from experience.
Even though Labour Party won in presidential election in Lagos State,
I just told
and
you,
Lagosians have found love with Labour Party.
Wait, Godwin, I've just told you what played out, or the situations that played out. You are going to see what's going to come out of it. On the eve of election, people will pull out from that election. I tell you, they can no longer, because it's just a wasted venture. You're just going there to waste your time. And then you made mention of the PDP, my political party, not even saying anything as we speak. Yes, I am a loyal party member. But with the happenings within the party, do you think the People's Democratic Party, as it were today, can even stand a chance in that election? I know you begin to wonder, am I demarketing I'm not demarketing my party. But we must speak truth wherever there is truth. We are talking about a party that is being occupied by an illegal chairman, national chairman. We are talking about a party whose illegal chairman, under his watch, people are leaving the party in droves in their numbers, and he has not called for meeting one day. You are talking about an illegal chairman who is supposed to be in acting position for at least 90 days and give way for the North Central to complete their tenure. As I speak to you, about 18 states of the People's Democratic Party chapter are in court as regards the conduct of the congresses. How do you think this kind of situation, if you were in our party, let's be honest, I know we are live on television, but if you were in our party with these circumstances, will you put money in that kind of venture? No, I'm asking you.
Well, I'm not a politician, but
No. I know, of course.
no,
I know.
I'm not. I won't be able to permutate.
I know.
I might not be able to permutate. I might not be able to permutate. I might not be able to. I might not be able to permutate accurately.
Your nose where it is not guaranteed.
But it's not about the party. It's about the people. What the people want.
Yeah, it's about the party. But what does the Constitution say about the processes which will lead to considering the people? There must be a vehicle to attain that public position you are looking for. And PDP is one of such vehicles.
But PDP in Lagos State has been one formidable force to reckon with. Of course, I don't think.
This is one of the most laughable things that.
Yeah, we saw that play out in different elections from Jimmy Agbaje through
My
to.
brother, let me tell you, there is what we call the Lagos playbook. The Lagos playbook is what Tinubu has tried over and over again in Lagos. It worked perfectly. It's working perfectly, and he is now importing that playbook to the national polity.
By playbook, you mean?
What I mean by playbook,
Yeah,
is have moves in other parties to perpetually put the party down, so that the parties will be weakened.
so you're saying Badebo is a mole that was planted by the president to in order to frustrate it, because we understand.
Badebo.
Yeah.
Rods Vivo Badebo.
Yeah.
When he was in PDP.
Yeah.
Is a guy I have so much respect for. While he was in PDP, he tries to pull the strings, but when he will not bow to those playbook, he found himself leaving the party. And I am telling you, Badebo was one of the guys that would have corrected a lot of wrongs in Lagos PDP. But did they give him the chance? No, and he left.
But Jimmy Agbaje is still intact.
Let's not go into.
Well,
these are discussions for someone. But I want to tell you that
yeah.
Lagos PDP, by extension, is an arm of APC in Lagos. And if care is not taken, if not for some of our leaders that are still fighting tooth and nail to ensure that, look, the visions of
Our founding fathers
of the
PDP does not die. I am telling you that the people there today, especially the acting chairman, they are ready to turn PDP into a support group of the APC.
Well, that's quite unfortunate from PDP. But then let's even come back to local government, because our interests, our constituency that we represent here is the masses, and what the masses want and what they believe should be the standpoint when it has to do with local government elections, due to the various reforms that we've seen so far in the electoral system, that it does not reflect on the local government. Again, when it has to do with councillorship and ward councillors in local government elections, there tend to be a variance when it has to do with ward elections in local government. So I'm asking at this point in time, the ward councillors that have been elected, most times they also defect to other parties. Most of the time, if you bring in a ward councillor, they win through a particular party, they misrepresent their people to a very large extent. Could this also be a factor of why people lose interest in local government elections?
Well, Godwin, I'm yet to see or hear of that states where an opposition, councillorship aspirant actually won an election and then defected to the ruling party in that state. It is nearly impossible. It's almost impossible. But then again, let's even assume that it is true. Nigerian politicians, especially at the grassroots, largely are driven by what? Selfish interests. We have seen it play out time and again across platforms. Only a few persons with integrity that actually knows that, look, this mandate given to me is actually not for me. It's for the people. Let me tell you, if a politician or a councillor that have been elected, duly elected to represent his people in the states, in the local government, council and all that, if he is truly representing the masses, there is nothing, absolutely nothing that will make him shiver or to compromise on his stance. But because there are no consequences for such misbehaviors, no consequences for such cross-carpeting, and you find people doing it here and there. And again, you will find politicians intentionally creating problems within the party so that they can hold on to that to defect another party. These are gimmicks, because at almost at every point in time, especially the crops of politicians we are having now in the APC, they always want to hold on to power. Because you can't bring PDP into this conversation. Largely, almost everywhere in Nigeria are being governed by APC. They are even trying to make Nigeria a one-party state now.
Alleged one-party state.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
Name one opposition party that is not in crisis, and I will name 20 for you that are in crisis. No, name it. Are you talking about PDP? Are you talking about Labour Party? The Labour Party has even been fragmented into 4 different factions. Are you talking about NNPP? Just name it.
Well, we'll come back. Because for one to mention Fresh Party, they said, God, what took you to Fresh Party? Let's leave that apart.
Are you a member? Are you a member?
Let's come back. We are apolitical on this table, basically. But in terms of the local government systems that we have in Nigeria, the system, the more the reforms, the more the dilapidating state of local government elections and systems in Nigeria. So when we try to look at this, you've said that the people are not to be blamed. The blame should go largely to politicians who have failed in their responsibility and always at the edge of grabbing power to themselves and harnessing power and keeping that power to themselves. The people and the politician are on 2 different periscopes right now. The people will ask, where do we go from here as a nation and as a people? Should we begin to revolt, or we should begin to drag the politicians to court, which the court is the last hope for the ordinary man? Or what should the people begin to do as we begin to prepare for various local government elections that is coming up across the country now and till 2026?
Thank you. I think I would like to take this question from the position of the reforms you talked about. The truth is that as far as Nigeria is concerned, whichever sector you go to, whichever ministry, whichever area you have come here, just name them. We have very good policies, come reforms on paper. Implementation have always been the problem. It has. Because it brings us back to what I was saying, the politicians, our so-called leaders. How many of them have this political will to implement some of these reforms and policies? Because at the end of the day, the leaders are looking at the fact that, look, these policies might come back to haunt us. They are looking at it, that look, if we implement these policies, we might be at the receiving end of these policies. As such, they will carry the policy and put it somewhere and cover it and not allow it to see the light of the day. And then the next question, you talked about how do we Nigerians and of course citizens begin to see how we can checkmate some of these things. It's a simple thing. As difficult as it may sound, but yet it's a simple thing. Nigerians must be ready to confront the processes headlong. And what do I mean by that? Nigerians must be ready to make very painful sacrifices. Nigerians must be ready to be involved in the process, whether we like it or not. Because until that happens, we might never be able to checkmate these guys. And some of the painful sacrifices I'm talking about is shunning all this Indomie, pepper, salt, and Maggi they bring on election day for you to vote for somebody you clearly knows does not have the good of the community at heart. And then because you are taking small pepper, 1 Indomie, 200 naira, you will vote for that person. 2 days later, we are back to the street and we've started complaining. So those are the painful sacrifices I'm talking about. Nobody should bring 5,000 naira to the polling unit. Nobody should bring 1 Indomie, tomato, pepper, and then you think, okay, it is enough for a 3-year mandate or it is enough for a 4-year mandate, as the case may be. So these are the conscious efforts Nigerians must take, and the painful sacrifices we must take. Yes, it's a difficult thing. That's why I said it's a painful sacrifice. So these are some of the things and some of the ways I think Nigerians can actually checkmate this unholy processes.
But before I let you go, we've seen the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission run after governors that just finished leaving office. 774 local governments in Nigeria. We don't hear the same thing. And we see local government chairmen leave offices. I'm curious, are all the local governments in Nigeria, 774, are they all saints? They don't embezzle public funds? That's on one hand. Secondly, we've not seen the people within Nigeria challenge the status quo of outgoing local government chairmen and bring them back to give account of what has happened, even while they were in office. It's as if local government chairmen are not accountable to anybody. And that has become like the norm in Nigerian body politics. I'm curious. You are within this space and you understand the terrain better than I do. Are all local government chairmen, are they all saints and they don't commit crime?
Yeah, first of all, it is not correct that all the 774 local government chairmen are saints. Of course, that's not true. That cannot even be true. And again, it is also not correct that the local government chairmen are not accountable to anyone. But now, here is the thing. This is where local government autonomy comes to play. Mind you, before the Supreme Court Langbar judgment, sometimes in 2024, I think June, July, or thereabout in 2024, you would find out that local government monies are channeled through state governments. And then state governments now decide what to do or what portion of it should actually go to that local government chairman. I do not think that in such situation that EFCC have any power to go after any local government council chairman. And that is why most times the EFCC is always going after state governors.
Even though
because
the residual list allows local governments to also have their own form of revenue generation process.
How many of these local governments are even generating any revenue? Even if they do, they channel it through the governors. So understand these things, and then you will know why it is always difficult for EFCC to go after local government chairmen. But that is where local government autonomy comes in. Because if they allow this local government autonomy to pass and then the governors implement it, I am telling you that you will begin to see drastic changes in the grassroots level. You will begin to see local government chairmen committed to working for their people. Because they also know that now EFCC has been empowered to track that fund. But a situation where the fund is not coming directly to the local government, that he is not signatory to.
But it gets to an account that he controls.
What makes you think he gets to an account? What if they are paid in table manners?
We've seen local government.
What if they are paid in table manners? So the chairman, so if there is anybody that those local government chairmen ought to be accounted to, it should be the governors. That is, I am talking about before the local government. And again, we are aware that not all the states, in fact, the local government autonomy, as far as I'm concerned, are just mere lip service. It's out there. You can ask questions. You can check Google. You can call one or two persons from everything. They will tell you. It's all lip service. So until we implement this local government autonomy, then the financial institutions, the institutions that are readily made available to curb financial malfeasance will be able to trace these funds to where they are going to. So it's just a simple thing. It's not like the local government chairmen have become saints or they have become too powerful that they cannot be accountable to anybody. No, these are just the techniques involved.
So invariably, you're saying right now that the local government chairmen are holier than the Pope. Because they cannot trace funds. Economic and Financial Crime Commission cannot trace funds to any account that they are signatories to. So they are holier than the saints because they cannot be traced.
Well, you said that.
No, I'm just asking. I'm trying to put the words in perspective so that we'll be on the same page. So that we'll be on the same page.
If there is this thing in our local palace on the streets, now who them catch, now be thief.
Okay.
It's simple.
Let's even, as we begin to draw draw our curtain on these matters. So, local government, as it stands right now in Nigeria, if we want to project the change and some form of recommendation, what would that be?
The number one thing I would recommend is for the government to create a single agency that oversees the election from the central. I'd wanted to say INEC should take over that responsibility, but then again, some people might argue that that will be too much of a burden on INEC. But then, I think I am trying to say the same thing. If we can have a central body that oversees the local government elections, I think that is the first step to curbing all these irregularities.
Well, David Itopa, I think that's a good way to also say thank you so much for being a part of the Big Talk.
Thank you for having me.
What is how far we can go tonight on Big Talk? Do remember that you can join the conversation on our various social media handle currently showing on your screen. And you can download the Global TV Nigerian mobile app for Android and iOS devices to keep track of our broadcast. So Big Talk return your way again same time tomorrow. Do remember that peace and unity are the pathways to progress. I am Godwin Sunday. Enjoy the rest of your